Hey everyone, thanks for coming in after lunch. I hope everyone had a good lunch and your day is going well with all the sessions. So why are we here and what is SIG Contributor Experience? We'll talk about it a little, and the agenda of the day is like several of our key contributors to the SIG. They will talk about what they're working on and how their journey has been working on those areas. So who am I? I'm Nabarun. I'm one of the co-chairs of SIG Contributor Experience. A few things before we start. The conference does have like captioning enabled. So if anyone has any issues like with hearing, or they want like just captioning, they want to listen on like what we are talking about, you can go to the link. And then get the QR code for the caption. I think that should be outside the room as well. I did not notice any. The plan was to put a QR code for this, but yeah, if you want, like, we can get it for you. In the conference, just as a general rule, be mindful of what you say and do here. The whole event is covered under CNCF Code of Conduct. And as I was talking, who am I? I'm Nabarun. Our co-speakers will introduce themselves as and when the section arrives, talking about the several areas. I'm here just to introduce what SIG ContribEx does and why we are important in the Kubernetes community. So just to give you an idea of how huge the Kubernetes project is, we do have like almost 100K contributors by now. We have 4.5 million plus contributions, and that like keeps increasing. And we have like more than 8,000 reviewers. Now, in order to maintain all of these people, make sure like it's sustainable, you need somebody or some people to run programs to make sure like everything is sustainable. And that's our goal. SIG ContribEx wants to develop and sustain a healthy Kubernetes community of contributors, which will help us essentially to scale the project and grow the ecosystem. So these 100K contributors did not come up suddenly, right? Things started from somewhere, and there needed to be programs, there needed to be initiatives which help these contributors grow and sustain in the community. Now, how does ContribEx? Subprojects. So the special interest group is divided into several subprojects. We will talk about 3 of them here by the contributors themselves. To give you an overall overview, we do have a community repo. We have a different set of repos, but the community repo is the meta repository where all of the information regarding the other special interest groups as well, and a lot of automation is stored so that all the information stays in one particular place. Then we have the contributor documentation. There is a contributor site called kts.dev. As consumers of Kubernetes, you must have interacted with kts.io or kubernetes.io. But Kubernetes.dev is a site that mostly contributors access. How many of you here contribute to Kubernetes or ever thought about contributing to Kubernetes or any areas? Oh, quite a bit. So kts.dev is your home in addition to like kts.io. Kts.io would give you user-facing content, but kts.dev will give you a lot of developer-facing documentation. Then we have the dev stats. You might have been hearing about metrics around the community, around CNCF projects, in keynotes, in different breakout sessions. All of that is gathered from like dev stats. Then ContribEx also helps run all the elections around the community. We do have built our own tooling called Electo, which we now have donated to the CNCF as well. It also runs as a separate project, which helps people run like blind elections, like so that like basically all the parameters of elections are satisfied. Then we have an events team, which helps in conducting the maintainer summits and maintainer meetups along with CNCF. We have the GitHub management team. We'll have one person like talk about it, what we do there, and a key aspect of it in the life cycle of a new Kubernetes contributor. Then we have the mentoring subproject. You might have heard about GSOC, LFX. That team basically assists CNCF in ensuring the projects from Kubernetes or the sub-projects from Kubernetes are appropriately signed up to the projects, and then they know like what their deadlines and timelines are. Then we have a literally huge Slack where we have like I think 200K or 300K plus people with one channel having like 100K plus, and we are testing limits of Slack. So we need like a proper automation to manage all of this. The Slack infrastructure project basically manages that. Then we have like contributor comms. We'll also have contributors from contributor comms talk about what they do. And that's all, actually. With that, I'll hand over to the people from ContribComms.
Thank you. Hey everyone, thanks for coming to our talk. My name is Sreeram Venkitesh. I work as a senior software engineer at DigitalOcean, and I've been part of the Kubernetes open source community for about 2 years now.
Hi everyone, I am Aakansha, and I'm currently working as a solution architect at -0, and I'm also a CNCF ambassador. I have been involved with this project for past 1 year now.
So as part of the contributor comms project, we are going to talk about the last week in Kubernetes development newsletter project and what we do. So over the last 10 years, as Kubernetes started growing in adoption and popularity, the contributor community started facing an issue as the project started growing in scale. So let's say you are a contributor who are working on a specific part of the project, such as the kubelet. There would be so much going on at any point of time that you would find it difficult to keep up with all these things that are happening in other parts of the project, like the Kube API server or with regards to scheduling or networking and so on. So we decided to solve this with a newsletter that would summarize everything that is going on in the Kubernetes community every week. And this was started in the January of 2018 by Josh Burkus. You can see Josh back there in the crowd. Yeah, we have been publishing an issue every week since 2018. So LWKD, as we said earlier, is primarily aimed at contributors. So if you are an end user of Kubernetes, you might not want to read LWKD. You can read it if you are interested to keep up with what all is happening in the community. And we summarize everything that is happening in the community that is relevant to the contributors. So this includes things like news about like new working groups or like contributor events, and reporting on all the pull requests that are merged every week, and shout outs to contributors and so on. So this is, as we mentioned, maintained by the COM subproject of SIG ContribEx, and you can find the newsletter in all of these following platforms. We have an email newsletter, a website, as well as handles on social media platforms like Blue Sky and Mastodon.
So you might be wondering like how this LWKD newsletter looks like, and we will show you, but it has a lot of different sections, and each section serves a different purpose and has a different style guide. So we will get into these sections quick. So yeah, if you go into lwkd.info, then you can find this website, and you can see that all the weekly issues are listed here. And this is the first section, which is developer news. So here we highlight all the news from the Kubernetes and the CNCF community, which is relevant for the Kubernetes project. If there is any CFP notification, or if there is any new working group that we want to highlight, we do it in this particular section.
Next, we have the release schedule. So Kubernetes has a very structured release cycle process where we go through the release cycle once every 4 months, and we release a new version of Kubernetes every, like 3 times in a year. So while contributors are working on their features, they have to go through this release cycle process, and this includes a lot of deadlines before which they have to get their code PRs merged and so on. So the release schedule section for like keeps people up to date on all of the deadlines and all the patch releases that come out and all of that.
Then we have KEP of the week. So KEP stands for Kubernetes Enhancement Proposals. So we have this enhancements tracking board, and the contributor like who wants to write this section goes through that tracking board and finds the enhancement. And every week, of course, there will be a lot of enhancements. Then we highlight that particular enhancement issue, like what was the motivation behind it, what was the summary, like why this enhancement was brought in. So we highlight it in this section.
Next, we feature all of the pull requests that are merged into the Kubernetes repo every week. And we do this with two parts. We have something called featured peers, where we give a brief description of the most important pull requests that are merged every week. And we also have other merges, which lists all the other peers that did not make it to the featured peers. So we basically give a list of all the new code changes that went into the Kubernetes repo over the last week. And the other merges section has different subsections to filter them based on the type of pull requests. So we have promotions, which are when features graduate from alpha state to beta or from beta to generally available. We have version updates where the packages that we use in Kubernetes gets a version bump. And we also have deprecations where code is removed or features are deprecated.
Then we have sub-projects and dependency update section. So of course, Kubernetes uses different sister projects as well in its dependencies and everything. So if there is any dependency version upgrade, so we highlight it in this section so that if people, the developers who are working with these projects, they can also know that, okay, there is a latest update and there are some latest bug fixes as well, so they can upgrade to the latest release. Then we have the shout-out section. So if you would have seen the Kubernetes Slack, there are a lot of channels, and one of them is the shout-outs channel. Of course, we want to highlight the contributors who are doing really great work. So we go through that channel and see that, okay, someone has been highlighted. So we give them a shout-out in our newsletter as well. It's a way to encourage other folks that, okay, you can also do such contributions and also to encourage people to join us.
Next, we're going to look at how we publish the Last Week in Kubernetes development newsletter every week. So we'll look at it first from the perspective of the editors, and then Aakansha will take us through the perspective of the individual contributors. So every month, we create an issue where we list the different parts, and people can pick up each part that they'd like to write that month. And if you want to start contributing to LWKD, this is where you would start. And this issue will be created under the LWKD repository in the Kubernetes SIG organization. So once people have picked up their parts, every week we start a new branch where we collect all the content written by the different contributors. And once everything is ready, we merge them into the main branch. So this is how that process looks. We have a SIG ContribEx comms channel in Slack where we coordinate all of this. And folks post their pull requests once they've written their parts. And once everything is merged, we merge the branch into the main branch, which would publish the issue, and we would send out the email newsletter and send out updates in the social media handles.
Okay, so now we have a lot of sections. So we would like to highlight the KEP section, which was the Kubernetes enhancement proposal. So let's say here Devi Krishna said that, okay, I want to pick up the KEP section for this newsletter. So they write it, and then they go through the enhancements tracking board and go through all the issues. And if they find that, okay, this issue needs to be highlighted in the newsletter, then they pick it up. And you can see that here we have highlighted the issue that she wants to highlight. And then if you click on it, so you can see all the summary, the motivation, what was the idea behind that particular enhancement. And then you write a one para, and of course there are style guides that you need to follow, and you submit a PR. And if it is approved, then that particular section is done. So similarly for other sections, we do it in different ways.
So once all of this is done, this is how an issue of LWKD looks like. So this seems like a lot of content, but since each part is handled by a different contributor, we are able to do this every week, and we have been doing this every week for a lot of years now. And one special thing about this project, as we were talking with Josh last day, was that all of this is done completely asynchronously, and for the most part, we don't meet in person. And since each person is responsible for a single part, we are able to coordinate this every week over Slack.
So you might be finding this all overwhelming, that there are so many sections and not one person can write it all alone. But that's not the case. We have a lot of contributors who are helping us out every week, and we would like to give them a shout out who have been active in the past 2 years in this project. So a huge shout out for all of them. Yeah.
A lot of these people are here in the crowd right now.
Yeah. And just one more thing that I would like to highlight, that me and Sreeram started our open source journey via this project. So it's our starting point, and if you would like to get involved or get started with open source, this is like one project that you can look into, and we would be happy to help you.
And we have a few links if you would like to learn more about what we do.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Now,
Hello. How many of you folks have become Kubernetes org members in the last year? Any of y'all present here? Or in the last 2 years? Any show of hands? So that's what I do. My name is Jason. I'm the new membership coordinator for the GitHub project. This is the contributor ladder. Non-contributor members are at the bottom, and you make your way up all the way with your grit and persistence and talent, all the way up to SIG chair or tech lead. And this is where I come in. I help you step up to the first rung of the ladder, where you become an org member. So I want to give you a little peek into what the process is and what I do. I divided basically into two parts, the machine and the human. The tools are the machine, what I use in my day-to-day work, and the NMC is me, myself, currently. So the tools would be KORG to add members or to remove them from the org, which then Peribolus uses to reconcile against the actual GitHub stuff, all of which runs on the Prow infrastructure and other bits and bobs. So all of this is then, this is the main source of truth. The git.krs.io/org repository contains the metadata information for all our Kubernetes GitHub organizations, Kubernetes or SIGs or CSI or etcd.io. So this data is then consumed by the Peribolus tool, which runs what I would call a reconcile loop. It checks the list, and then if you add someone or promote someone to the list, it'll then check that and then issue invites and emails accordingly. Similarly, if you delete someone from the list, it'll make sure that that person is removed from the org. There's a lot more where this stuff comes from. There's a lot of technical detail, and if you want to know more about that, Priyanka Sagu here and I gave a talk last year, so you're welcome to go watch this. I would also like then to talk about a little about what I do what's the human do in this whole process. Nusrat Samin wrote a book about salt, fat, acid, and heat. These four elements would basically help you do anything, cook up a dish from these elements. So I think about those as advocacy for me to help pull, assist, get people into the org. SALT here would stand for servant leadership, the ability to work well for others, to advocate on their behalf when they're requesting access to the orgs. It could take the form of reminding sponsors to agree to requests or telling folks that they've missed something, something's been overlooked. So just like SALT's invisible and enhances flavor, and an NMC coordinates and keeps other people in focus. FAT would stand for relationships, the ability to work with people. You could call them interpersonal skills or people skills or whatever. But communicating hard facts, for example, with empathy, the ability to tell someone that they need to do a little more work before they can apply, or having the persistence and patience to go back and forth to escalate stuff and to rope people in to help. So just like FAT delivers flavor and adds richness, the NMC communicates with people and are able to pull folks up and in. ACID is vigilance, attention to detail. Is everything correct? Is everything in the request that a person raised right? Are the usernames right? Have they done the required amount of substantive work? Are they involved for a long enough time? Are there signs of genuine involvement? Are there signs of genuine collaboration? Do the sponsors agree? Are they from different orgs so that there's no conflict of interest? Is everything reviewed correctly? And if something changes, is everything reviewed correctly again? So the job, while easier than before, thanks to a lot of work done by the GitHub admin team over here and Nabarun over there, it still requires a hugely vigilant eye. So just as ACID balances flavors and adds brightness and sharpness, the NNC ensures everything stays as fair and as verifiably correct as they can make it be. And finally, we come to heat, which is the responsibility and accountability we bring to the position. The consistency that you need to show up daily and do the work. There are requests all the time. There are folks wanting to come and help contribute all the time. So it is up to us to come invite them into the org. The ability to meet SLOs and do their work in a timely manner. So just as heat changes food from raw to cooked, the NMC helps folks along, we assist them, and get them up onto the contributor ladder. So heat is something I think I've bought over the past 2 years by helping 200 plus folks into our orgs. So here's the bit then. I'm once again inviting interested folks to come become an NMC who's eligible. People who've invested some time with the project. It's not exactly for newcomers. They must be active, they must be trusted, and they have to be a Kubernetes or SIG's GitHub org member for at least a year. They must be familiar with the membership guidelines and the new membership procedure. Skills required are mostly people-oriented. They need to pay attention to details. They have to be responsive to picking up requests. They have to be friendly and welcome to prospective members because most of them are very new and they need help. A time commitment of about 30 minutes, a couple of times a week is required to review the issue queue in the Kubernetes org repo and pick up requests to process. And that's my call to action. If you're interested in helping, join the SIG ContribEx mailing list. In a few short months, we'll be sending out an open call for new membership coordinators. Thank you. And I'll pass it to Sayak, my good friend, who will now talk about the contributor website. Sayak.
Thanks, Jason. Hello, everyone. I'm Sayak. And today I'm going to speak a bit about the upgrade and maintainability work that we are doing on the contributor website. So the contributor website is a great place for budding contributors. It has a lot of resources, including blogs that are targeted towards contributors, events, documentations that you might need to get started on your journey. The site is built on 2 core pieces of technology, a framework called Hugo, which is pretty much the backbone of this website, and a theming library called Doxy. And as mentioned earlier, you can visit the website at kates.dev. Now, the situation with the website is that, although the content in the website is pretty well updated almost all the time, the framework and the libraries that the site is built upon is pretty old. It's almost 4 to 5 years old. And, well, you might think so what? What does it matter if it's so old? Well, there are a couple of reasons. And the first very good reason is security. So if you have a website or any piece of software which is running on 4 to 5 year old technology, it's bound to have security vulnerabilities, right? And it is very difficult to patch them out, especially on a framework like Hugo. And the second reason is, well, we all love features, right? Especially folks like me who like dark theme everywhere. And so the older versions of Doxy doesn't really have these features, dark theme doesn't come out of the box, which is the reason which you will see none of the Kubernetes documentation website and including the contributor website are all light theme, right? So yeah, so for new features, we need to upgrade, right? Well, I will go a bit over the process of this upgrade. And although I found that this process is pretty iterative and a bit of trial and error, I found that it can be split up into 5 different steps. Out of them, the first 2 steps are pretty important, and I will discuss more on that. So you need to download or git clone, or however you get code, the version of Doxy that is currently running, and the next version of Doxy, okay? And once you have these 2 versions, you're gonna do a diff between them. This will give you a good idea of exactly what has changed between the 2 versions of this library that you're depending in. And now, when you want to upgrade to the next version, you can use the idea of those changes to make whatever changes you need to make in your own customized code. And you keep on doing this step iteratively for every version. But before even doing that, please really read the release notes of the libraries and the frameworks that you're working on. Many a times these release notes will give you important information, like if there are any breaking changes or not. And it's very important to know these informations ahead, right? And there are some best practices around this upgrade. One of them I can say is like always try to think one version ahead of what you're upgrading to. Like for example, if your website is currently on 0.05 of a library and you want to upgrade it to 0.06, you should think about like what are the changes that will come in 0.07, right? Because for example, in Doxy, 0.7 version is the one which has breaking changes. So you need to know that, okay, the next version that I'm going to upgrade is going to have a breaking change. So I need to have that mindset when I'm upgrading from 0.5 to 0.6, right? Well, when you're taking up such a huge task of upgrading 4 to 5 years worth of dependencies, you're bound to face some challenges. But thankfully, there are a few general ideas around what you can do to manage them. One of the important things is to test your code. Of course, every one of us tests our code locally. But especially for these kind of websites, testing in an integrated environment is also important. Thankfully, Kubernetes projects have CI pipelines, which can deploy the contributor website, in this case, to a preview system so that you can see exactly how your website will look once it's actually merged and deployed. So please do go to the preview links and take a look as to what exactly it looks like there. And the other thing is keeping an open line of communication with the rest of the org members. Because many a times it happens that they know about some edge cases or some things that you might not be aware of or might not be evident. So just hop into the Slack channels, right? SIG ContribEx in our case, and chat with us. Just discuss with us like what you're doing, how you should approach things, and we will of course help you out. And well, having said that, we need help. We need help in this sub-project because this is quite a big work, and we just don't have enough people working on it. So like I said before, join our Slack, join our channels, and say hi. And maybe we can see what works out, because this sub-project is a great way for folks who are interested in this community to start contributing, especially if you want to contribute to code-based stuff. So yeah, hit us up. Let's see where we can go with this. Thank you. And with this, I'll hand it over to Nabarun.
Thank you all for giving your insights on different parts of ContribEx. So one thing here, like ending Sayak's note, how many of you like Bash here or know a lot of Bash? We have a very good project for you to contribute to, contributor site. We do have a generator which is written in like really old archaic Bash, but we want to convert that into Go and possibly use Hugo's renderer to actually do the website generation. So if you're interested, do come and talk to us about it. Wrapping it up, like how do you come and talk to us about it? So we really want to help you in sticking around in the community. And we know that it's really frustrating to stick to a community where there are a lot of processes. We have a lot of like checks and balances to make sure like none of the areas of the project go in a direction that we don't want to go to. So it becomes a little tough. But ContribEx is here to help you stick around and be there. So you can reach out to us by joining the Kubernetes Slack at slack.kts.io. You can self-invite yourself to the Slack and then join SIG-ContribEx for general SIG ContribEx things, and then SIG-ContribEx-comms for ContribEx comms related stuff. Once you join SIG ContribEx and you ask a question, depending on the area that you want to contribute to, we will help you redirect to someone who is a maintainer in that area and the appropriate channels where you can talk to those maintainers. We do have a mailing list, so you can go to Google Groups and search for Kubernetes SIG ContribEx and join our mailing list. So joining the mailing list will get you access to the meetings and the meeting agenda. So the meetings will auto-populate on your calendar, and you can just join the meetings, be a fly in the wall, try to understand what goes on in the meetings, and then start like asking questions in the area that you are interested in. Now, what if you find it a little confusing on how to get started? What are the other areas other than SIG ContribEx? So SIG ContribEx also runs something called new contributor orientations. It happens twice every month, once in the US time zones, once in the APAC time zones. So if you want to learn from the maintainers themselves on what they're working on, basically get like an overview of how to contribute and a focused office hours kind of thing where you can come and ask questions, NCO is one really good place that you can come and join us. You can go to kts.dev or kubernetes.dev/docs/orientation and see the schedule on when the next one is there. And we would love for you to join, come ask questions, stick around in the community. Having said that, we're done. Thank you all for attending the session. We are open to questions. I think we are past the scheduled time. But if anyone has any questions, you can ask any one of us here. We will be around in the hallway. You can find us during the conference, even tomorrow itself, to ask any kind of questions. And thank you so much. Thanks all. I would also like to thank Priyanka, who helped like coordinate a lot of the session logistics, what you have seen here. So thank you, Priyanka.